Forgiveness is such a delicate thing. Okay. Forgiveness is such a delicate and precious thing. It provides you with a sense of inner peace and healing that you have finally accepted. Again. Forgiveness is such a Forgiveness is such a delicate and precious thing. It provides you with a sense of inner peace and healing that you have finally accepted the truths about certain things and is ready to move forward. What if the person who broke you has done something so vicious and so vile that he made you hurt in a way where you want to see this person vanish forever? You're too hurt to see or to even think about a world where this person can roam free and just exist. I felt that. I know that pain may steer in a path of anger, saying words you can't take back and was never meant to say. Just like all things, forgiveness takes time. Forgiveness also happens when you allow it, when you're open to it. In my own experiences, I found it harder to forgive myself before I was able to forgive that person that hurt me. I loathe myself for not knowing any better, for not being a better person at handling situations like that. I was mad at myself and I was mad at that person. Hey guys, welcome to Love, Growth, and Freedom with Adrian Duarte. Today I will be talking about forgiveness along with my friends Julia Viray and Anne Abenilia. And here they are introducing themselves to you. So who wants to go first? Go, go, go.
I am Julia, and I work as a content specialist.
Yeah, and then go for Anne.
Hi,
Anne.
I'm Anne. I'm a speech language pathologist.
Okay, so you must be wondering why I got all of these friends of mine to talk about forgiveness. The reason being we've been close for a long while already since high school and up until now, and we constantly hang out at least once a year. We try to meet each other, but Julia and Anne are neighbors, so they can see each other more often than not. So
Yeah,
other
we
than that,
are.
yeah, other than that, the reason why I got them to be a part of this episode is that they have a fair share of their ideas of forgiveness and the hardships that come along when you try to forgive someone. So to start it all off with forgiveness, could I have any of you to answer this? Is what is forgiveness for you? Like, what do you think about like when you hear the word forgiveness?
You want to go
Anyone?
first? Or is it me? You can go
Hmm.
first.
Okay. For me, it's being in state of peace. Yeah. I think once you're able to forgive, you're able to be at peace with yourself, and you're able to live your life to the fullest because you don't have any baggage inside that you're carrying. And yeah.
Okay, what about you, Julia?
All
What's
right.
forgiveness for you?
I think forgiveness is remembering without pain, remembering stuff freely. Yeah,
Ah.
that's it.
I really this is gonna be probably one of the most Kankoy podcasts we're gonna have because we're really close and then when we talk about these things it's really always just such a
Yeah.
funny concept for all of us because we've been through that. But yeah, obviously for us we think that forgiveness is what brings us peace. It actually means letting go of certain things that make us unhappy and make us ache for a little longer. So with the idea of forgiveness, can you share any experiences where you have had your hard time forgiving someone? Like in general, may it be like heartbreaks or whatever.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, or people
Ego.
that you never thought
What,
that you could forgive, but you forgive.
Julia?
Why me?
Okay. I'll take the
You
wheel
do
first on
it.
this one. Okay. On my end, the reason why I wanted to talk about this was because um, we have this conversation all the time. We've already talked about like how things with their pasts are and whatever. So for me, the idea of forgiveness makes it feel like, um, it was a hard thing for me because I was it was in an okay relationship. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but it was just an okay relationship, and things gone south. And for me, it took me a while to forgive, but when I finally did, it just finally kept made me feel like it's easier to walk forward than backward, or just actually moving forward, forgiving the person whatever that did. And I guess the most challenging part was more of like forgiving myself because I allowed that to happen to me. Like I've always been thinking that if I had the power to forgive people, I couldn't do it with me because I thought that, I had the power to protect myself from all these kinds of things and actually pain. So yeah, what about you guys? Like anything that you want to add on the idea and whatever of forgiveness?
For
Go.
me, it was
Go.
really awkward. Okay, so not just in romantic relationships, but in overall aspects of life. Um, I've had this mindset na wala nang magagawa. It already happened. And what would be the best solution to, what happened? So I think it took me a while to learn how to forgive myself as well. But forgiving others was somehow very automatic for me. We're all different people, and I think it's more of our upbringings. And for me, kasi wala nang magagawa talaga eh. So
Mm-hmm.
what I'd rather do is do something for myself, actually, just to forgive that person. So that I can focus on what is and not dwell on what was.
Yep.
Ah,
Nah.
big, big.
Uh,
But just true because
That's true.
Anne has
thank
always
you.
been
Thank you.
Anne has
And scene.
always
Three
Anne has
points.
always been one of those. She's a very kind person. Like she really does let anybody off the hook, even though if she does it and she's not supposed to. And we're gonna fight that bitch for
Stop
her.
it.
So what about you, Julia? So what about you on forgiveness? Your stand on forgiveness.
I think it's really easy for me to forgive because it's hard for me to carry on like what do you call that? A baggage coming from the other person. Like he or she was the one who fucked up. Why am I the one carrying it? So I just take my time and let it go.
Well, yeah, on that end, not a lot of people have also the
Uh-huh.
same mindset of, okay, it's not on me. It's not on not on me anymore. He's the one who fucked up, or
Yeah,
they're the
yeah.
ones who fucked up. And why am I the one, to feel
Carrying the
miserable about it?
baggage.
Yeah, why am I
Yeah.
the one to
Uh-huh.
feel upset about it? But yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
how can on that light, how can we encourage people to think of
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness as something that we are able to give? Like we have to shift the power in our hands. Obviously, forgiveness comes with a lot of maturity and growth. Like for people who don't know that forgiveness is not just entirely for the other party, but it's more of for you. And
Yeah.
like how do you try to what are your words of wisdom for the people who are having a difficult time and forgiving people who has hurt
Words of wisdom.
them?
Words of
I
wisdom.
guess what do I
Wisdom.
have to say? Just take your time.
Uh,
Healing will come.
Okay, so
mm,
based on your experiences, how long did you go through that process of forgiving? Like you both told me that it was easy for you to just say I forgive you, but was it what was the internal struggle that's going on when that was happening, when you were in the process of forgiving? Because obviously
I
that
guess.
wasn't in just a day.
Mhm.
yeah.
I guess the thought of it constantly recurring in my mind, and how was I able to block it off? Something like that.
Yeah. What about you, Homer? Oops. Yeah.
For me, it was more of living presently. Yeah, because what happens is if you don't forgive someone, you tend to linger on what happened in the situation. What did I do? What was it him? Was it me? Or even in friendships, in general.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, so since you're doing that, you're in the present, but you're actually living in the past. And you know, it's hard to understand this life that we have. It's just one life. It's not a trial phase. So if we keep living on with that baggage every day, we're not really living life to the best that we can. So I think it's for me that then talaga na yung forgiveness is not just for other people. You may be forgiving others, but you're actually doing it for
Mm,
yourself as well.
true. I
True
agree.
enough. Well, what do you think are your biggest challenges when you were that you faced when you were in that process of forgiving people that hurt you? Like, in my end, I'm a compared to both of you Aquarians, I am very vengeful.
Hey.
I'm very vengeful when it comes to like
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. So forgiveness for me does take a long while. I really do take a lot of turns and whatever before I
Mm.
get to the idea of okay, let's forgive this person. I really feel the pain, the hurt, the anger. So what do you think are your challenges when it came to forgiving? Like, was it just that easy for you to say, "Oh, I forgive this person," or did you go through a phase of, "Okay, this hurts. I think I can't forgive this person as at the moment," or was there
Ah.
any challenges that you faced
I guess that
while in that
for
process?
me it was okay. I guess for me it was just acknowledging the pain. Like
Mhm.
how was I going to deal with it? How was I going to go on with my day? Dealing with it every single day. That's it.
What about you, Homer?
What about you?
Actually, yeah, the same rin. Kasi parang, I tend to forgive really easily, but the pain, I usually keep it inside. I'm sure you guys
You
know
keep
that.
it bottled in.
Yeah.
You keep it.
And it
I
You
took
know.
me
keep.
a while. It took me a
Huh?
while to tell people about it.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I guess because of the pain that we feel from past relationships and friendships, we, we see how grateful we are for the friends that we surround ourselves with. So, ayun, I'm fortunate enough to have you guys.
Aww, cheesy
Finger
peasy.
guns.
No.
Dun, dun, dun,
Finger
dun.
guns.
I mean, we're
Aw,
very opposite, especially, Adrian, Homer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
so he was able to really tell me, ano ba? Tama na yan. Sabihin mo na.
He knocked some sense
Ayun,
into you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's the funny thing about our friendship and forgiveness. That's why you guys are one
Mm-hmm.
of the people that I wanted to bring with the idea of forgiveness because I always have a very strong opinion on so many things, and especially with
Mm-hmm.
forgiveness. On my end, you knew my struggles. You knew how it took me like a while to actually just say, "Oh, I'm okay with it. I forgive this person, and
Mm-hmm.
this person's fine. I hope he's doing okay or whatsoever." So, um you guys were a model of me, your like for forgiveness on my end, especially Homer though. On her end, I'm like, how could you not be upset? Like, I would always ask her, like, how could you not be like a raging, I don't know.
Raging bitch.
I know, why couldn't you be a raging bitch? Because I would be like, I would be coming up, get the out of the house, or whatever, but let me shoot you down. But 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 yeah, so having you guys around, yeah, with the idea of forgiveness, I guess, what else we could talk about is, what do you think about unresolved, do you ever, or have you ever had like unresolved conflict and feelings? How do you deal with all these unresolved like conflicts and feelings? For example, if you were to be hurt by someone in a friendship or in a relationship, and then this person does not give you a closure that you need, how do you deal with it? How do you go about it? Because that happens a lot. People leave out of the
yeah,
blue.
it's
Mm.
like, bye.
Mm.
I mean,
Mm. All right,
drop the
bye.
mic.
That's just how
Yeah.
I deal with it.
How do you make peace with that? How do you how do you forgive a person who's just like who's
Oh,
left
fine.
so many unresolved things?
Well,
You answer, Anne.
based from experience.
Go for it.
Oh
Go.
my gosh. Whenever somebody would, present such behaviors towards me,
Mm.
I'd always try to understand na lang.
Mm.
It's very hard to do, and I'm
You
not
try to be the bigger
justifying.
person.
Yeah, kasi you, by being the bigger person, you break the cycle of it, right?
All right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. For example, like, nung intern ako sa PGH, parang sinungitan ako ng isang
Fuck.
parent or guardian,
Uh-huh.
yeah. As in, like, she was very irrational. But then
Mm.
ako, instead of responding right away, parang tahimik na lang ako. It's like, okay, ma'am, sorry. And then I tried to understand her. Just
Where
little did
she's
I
coming
know
from.
na, yeah. And then little
Uh-huh.
did I know when I was on my way back to her hospital bed, so ward, um, ayun, umiiyak na siya sa anak niya. They were having problems financially. So, there are situations that affect a person's behavior. So, parang yun na lang yung inisip ko na. I just need to understand
Mm.
this person. Kasi I need to
Mm.
see where he or she is coming
She's
from.
coming
Kasi
from.
with that,
Yeah.
with that, parang it's easier to forgive actually. But even in relationships, I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
okay, bye.
honest. No, I mean, honestly,
All right.
with the
Okay,
idea of like
I'ma go.
past things on that, I agree that you have to understand the other person, where that person is coming from, and then it would be easier for you to like forgive and also identify some of the things that you've done wrong. Like some of the things that could have gone wrong if you reacted badly, or the things that you've done
Yeah.
wrong when you've reacted badly on a certain situation. Because which is true, because you really have to know what the person is going through, to be able to actually have a more bigger picture of how you could react to this person. Is this person really inherently bad, or inherently a cheater, or
Mm.
inherently like
Oh.
shots fired,
Yeah, kasi
inherently, yeah. If it was
just like,
inherently that, yeah.
and just to add, na parang, if you don't understand the person, or if you don't even try to understand the person, it would be as if there are two dogs barking at each other with
Mm-hmm.
reaching no conclusion at all. So, yeah, like what Julie said, be the better, or be the bigger person.
Bigger person.
Well,
And try
that
to understand.
but being the bigger person is quite a challenge. So
Yeah.
how do you like try to persuade people to be a better person, the bigger person in the picture? Because a lot of people like me, especially me, on a certain situation, you know how hot-headed I could be, Homer. So like I really like fight back if I have to on a very quick whim, and really get upset. And how do you tell other people to like take a step back? What else do you suggest? Like, what if I can't take a step back? What else do you suggest? How do you think that we could face situations like this more?
I understand. Like, kasi there are people who are very outspoken, just very vocal.
Like him, he
Hence,
reacts on his
Like you,
emotions.
right away. And it takes
Yeah.
practice, but I think it has to be, you have to be conscious about it. That in certain situations, the best reaction is to not react at all right away,
Mm-hmm.
because they'll tend to end up getting worse in the process of it. So, yun lang. Feel ko, it takes time, ha? It takes time.
it comes with
So,
growth din
y-
talaga.
and you just need to have that sense of maturity na, okay, I want to do this. I want to start trying to understand people before reacting to what they're telling me or to what they're doing to me.
Oh,
So, oh my god, so deep.
I know. Okay,
Very
I'm
deep.
just
well,
sorry.
here's a spicy question for both of you. Think of a situation where you were extremely hurt
Uh,
and you've forgiven the person. Do you believe in the idea of letting them know that you've forgiven them, or just letting it be and just say you've forgiven them internally and not just tell it to them? Or would you want to tell that person to actually, for example, if someone broke your heart, you're gonna say, "I forgive you for breaking my heart, and I understand what happened." Would you do that, or would you just say, "I've forgiven this person," without telling that person that you've forgiven them?
oh, I'm actually like I show my forgiveness in my own ways.
So how do you
I don't
guys?
really acknowledge it. Like I stop being cold to them, something like that, and I actually start opening up to them again, like I used to.
What about you, Homer?
Hmm.
Did
What
you
about you?
confess
Um,
forgiveness? Did
no.
you bestow it?
It depends on the level of maturity of the person I'm forgiving. Kasi
I
some
see.
people are actually, they're gonna tell me na, ay, you're being sarcastic lang. Ano ba? Diba? There are people who
Wow.
are like that. Yeah,
Sila
so
pa,
it
Talaga.
sila pa.
depends. Yeah. It
Oo nga eh.
it depends. Oo. Yeah, ayun.
Ako, I think on my end, ginawa ko siya. Sinabi ko, oh, well, I've forgiven you. On a basis of text. I was like, forgiven. Like, okay, I just really wanted to say like, oh,
With
forgiven. Like,
some sass.
yeah, like forgiven, head nod, and like
How
forgive.
did you feel after?
I felt really
Yeah.
good. I think for me, it's essential as a very outspoken person to actually say what I feel. Like you
Mhm.
both know how emotional and reactive I could get. So taking the time to process all those what has happened and then be able to say it up front to the person after like a long while. I literally took a while to say that, and when I did, it felt liberating. It felt like, oh, it something has lifted off my chest. I felt good about myself. The idea that okay, I was able to let go of these things. So
Mhm.
yeah, and you've always talked about forgiveness gives you that power to move forward and continue on with your life without worrying about the baggages that you've had behind. So, yeah, with all that, to top it all off, what are your what are your learnings or what are your tips to other people like on the basis of forgiveness? How could you teach people the idea of forgiveness in like at least a sentence? How do you give tips on people,
Right.
just like
Can I
anything?
go first?
Go for it.
I think no one's perfect. People make mistakes. They're going to hurt you and disappoint you. Even the ones that you love and trust the most, you're just going to have to decide if your love for them is bigger than their mistake.
Wow.
That's what
Oh,
I
clap.
learned,
Where's the
alright?
clap?
That's what I learned. What about you
Yeah.
guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, what are you, Homer?
Yeah, I guess having that mentality also eh. And, thinking na, can you do something to change that person? Wala, diba? So, I think it's really hard to forgive, but it's very essential for you to live out life as fully as you possibly can. And remember na everything happens for a reason. And you might have time to find that reason, but eventually you will. And, these situations that are very hurtful, in the end, you'll actually see that they're blessings because you'll learn a lot from it and it changes you talaga.
Yeah, I
Wow.
agree.
Yeah, which
I
is
love it.
true. And
Love it,
along
love it.
and along with that, I think you'd also find the time to forgive yourself din naman for all the things that you've actually like done wrong, would have done better. Because I think on my point, even if after all on my end, when I forgiven the person that I wronged or that wronged me, I also was able to see myself clearly, more 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 accountable for the actions that I've taken as well. So like those were the things
Mhm.
that I don't think I could forgive myself yet for that situation that I've done. But with all after a while, after forgiving the other person, then forgiving yourself, it just made it more sense to actually be more forgiving in the world because like shit happens to a lot of people and we can't really control that. Especially right now, we're in a very shitty world. We're in a very
Uh-huh.
shitty state.
2020, woo!
I
What a
know.
Mhm.
review.
We see clearly now. So yeah, I guess this is the end of this segment of the podcast, and I'll continue talking about forgiveness coming up next. Bye. You can say bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome takes on forgiveness with my friends. But to top this all episode off, I'd love to share some tips of mine as we talk about forgiveness because forgiveness is a difficult thing, as we all heard. And alongside of my friends, you've heard how difficult it is for other people, unlike them, who are easily able to forgive people. On my end, we all know that the challenges in forgiving would be the unresolved conflict and feelings that we have for people and the pain that doesn't subside because you either just keep it bottled in or you don't even try to process it or the lack of closure and acceptance of the truth and the situation. So there's so many things that hinder us from forgiving the people that hurt us. And we all know, as my friend said, that when you forgive, you get to be able to move forward because you have released all of your baggages. So I will give you at least 5 tips on getting on about with forgiveness. First off is think about it. In situations like this, after you had your reaction, getting hurt and feeling all the pain, um, you have to face the truth about it, and you really have to sit down and think with yourself and think about it, what happened, and you have to understand and acknowledge the pain, where and how it hurts, and your reaction to the whole thing, because being able to process this and think about this makes you more aware of how this certain situation affected you, and it gives you this fresher perspective. You get to know more of the reasons it hurt you and more of the reasons why you couldn't forgive this person at this certain moment. After that is you acknowledge the lessons taught. Acknowledge that in pain in a situation like this, there was a lesson that you needed to learn the hard way. And this allows us to grow, and it isn't easy, and furthermore justifies the idea of growing pains. This teaches us more about ourselves and about the time for us to know what we need and what are our boundaries. So when we acknowledge the lessons that the pain has brought us, we are more aware of the needs and the boundaries that we have that we could set for ourselves to avoid at least getting hurt in this sense again. And we also understand that with pain and with all of this that comes along, there's something that you get out of it. There's something that you learn from it. Sometimes you'd also realize how you outgrew your past self and the person that this past lover or person of yours has fallen for. Like growing up, experiencing something like this and allowing this to process in a time bound thing, or in a longer scale of time, and just like processing it, you would understand how much you've grown, and you've understand that sometimes it's the best to actually move forward and walk away from the old situation that you were in. After you acknowledge the lesson and thought about all of the other things processing this, you assess the perspectives of the other person. Now, this is where you actually begin the process of forgiveness, because you get to understand now, just like what my friend said, you understand where this person is coming from. You understand why this person hurt you. This is also thinking about the general idea that humans are flawed, and there are a lot of times you forget that other persons or the other people has needs too, aside from ours, and have these needs met, and communication is key. So sometimes people around us have certain needs that we don't know needs to be met, and sometimes it can cause them to act a certain way that doesn't benefit us, or that doesn't like align with how we're feeling and how we perceive it. So assessing the perspectives of the other person that hurt you gives you a little more like perspective, or little more vision of why you actually have to like forgive this person, or at least understand how this person hurt you and how you hurt the person as well. Because we all know that in a breakup, in any kind of breakup, a friendship breakup, a relationship breakup, or a breakup, or really just severing ties with other people, means that there was something wrong between both of you that just didn't meet up and didn't mix and whatsoever. So yeah, when communication fails at this point, it leads us to hurtful things like cheating, arguing, and abandonment, which we all are afraid of, as we think and as you see always. Um, and other than that, sometimes you overlook the needs of our partners, that they end up asking for these needs to be met in a hurtful way. So when you realize that you've also, have like your shortcomings in that certain situation, in a relationship, in a friendship, you would understand also how this person reacted, why this person reacted the way they reacted towards you. And sometimes you realize that, well, it's not entirely their fault and it's not entirely your fault, but I guess it's not as grave as you think to not forgive them at all. So, but this does not excuse their hurtful act, but it sheds a little light on how they are and what happened really at that certain point in time. And sometimes doing this means looking at the mirror and ask, what are your mistakes and what you could have done better in that situation? Not that this doesn't take any way or doesn't take away the fact that this person hurt you, but this person can be understood more and still held accountable for the actions, but you should also be accountable for your mistakes too. So when you assess the perspectives of the other person, you get to assess your perspectives too, and also assess how you could be accountable for your actions and for your mistakes. Now, the last one is the second, or not the last one. The fourth one is express forgiveness in your own way. We've also tackled that with my friends earlier, Julia and Anne, that they express their forgiveness in their own way. Some prefer not to say that they've forgiven this person. Some just prefer to like stay silent and say I've forgiven you. And as for Julia, she said that she forgives in a way where, if it's a friendship issue, if it's a relationship issue, she said that she becomes less cold and more comforting and more warm around that person who hurt her or has done her wrong, to show her forgiveness. So forgiveness can be expressed in so many other ways. The ideas of burying the hatchet, the witches in the story and that, and also like just maybe sitting there in silence and just saying, well, looking at each other and just expressing how you're okay with whatever happened because it had to happen that way. So, yeah, remember, forgiveness is more for you than the other party. It means you have accepted the things that happened and is ready to move forward and leave things in the past. And in your own way, you could just exclaim the words to yourself, write it down, or let the person know you have forgiven them personally. I practice to let the person know. So in turn, I could apologize for my own faults too. As a person, I've always been vocal about how I felt about certain other things and how I feel. So I apologize for my own things, my own wrongdoings, and I also say, I've forgiven you, or, it just makes me feel so much better and liberated because I know that I've never left anything unsaid. Okay, and I never intended to hurt anymore or anyone anymore. At least I've forgiven this person. At least I know that that person forgave me too. Lastly, get on your way to healing. After forgiving, your wounds would start to heal and turn into scars. This is the time that, to live your life and the way you want it based on your own desires, set goals, dreams, and focus on self-development and tend to your other relationships. So after you've expressed forgiveness, because for me, I believe that forgiving someone that hurt you, may it be in a relationship, a friend, or, all the aspect of forgiveness, it's an important way for us to actually move on, to heal from the hurt. So when you're done expressing your forgiveness in your own way, and if you've accepted the truth, and if you've accepted that, okay, this person has wronged you, and you express forgiveness in your own way, then you're on your way to healing. You're on your way to have a better life, free of like any baggages, any ideas of the past that you could have done better, done more. But you just say, I'm done. We're done. I've forgiven it. I've been forgiven. Let's just move on and, hope to God and do your best not to like repeat the same mistakes again. And be a better person. You grow and you change along the way, and yeah, forgiveness is such a powerful thing. Forgiveness is a magical thing that you all should know that it comes from you. And it really just gives you such power of freedom and like strength to actually move forward with the life that you want to have apart and away from that kind of thing. So before we end all this, forgiveness is something that you could give. You have the power alone to do so. With forgiveness, you're granted peace and the power to move forward with your life. I've said that countless times in this episode, and I hope you learned a lot. And if you're continuing or if you're still listening up until now, I thank you. And I just want to thank any or everyone who's been listening to my podcast, Love, Growth, and Freedom. I am so grateful because you have given me a new purpose, a new passion to actually pursue, and just, and knowing that some people listen to me, I really feel grateful and happy that I get to share all the things that I've learned and also bring to the light other people who has shared the same experiences. And as we all know, life is mostly a shared experience along people like us, people who experience mundane things and process it the way normal people do. That's us. So, yeah, with all that, I am glad that you stayed along. Thank you so much. Goodbye and see you soon.